In Buddhism, you always have these three fundamental principles: a basis, a path, and result. These three things. So you have a basis, you have a path that leads to a fruition or a result. That's the way it works. That's the way it's laid out. So, so what's the basis for meditation? So basically, when you're starting meditation, you begin, classically, you begin with your body. And so the whole idea here is that you bring a feeling of dignity into your body. Now, this doesn't mean you have to adopt a meditation posture, but it just means you have a certain feeling of dignity in your body. And as Steve mentioned last week, I think it was, naturally your back is kind of straight, you're more kind of balanced, you know. But then once you've done that, then you release any tension in your body. No stiffness, you see, just very easy, you know. And then all your senses are completely open. This is quite different to shamatha practice, where you're trying to create a still state, you know. But the basis here is you have all your senses completely open, you know. And so, can you hear sound? Touch your cheek. Just do it for the fun. Touch your cheek. Can you feel it? Is your mind, are there things happening in your mind? Is it blank? No. Are you breathing? Just check, just in case, you know. So this is very natural, very, very natural. There's no pressure. Do you understand? There's no pressure here at all. So basically, you're just awake, alive, and present. Experiencing everything very clearly. And that's actually where we start from. Just this ordinary you, this natural you, that's the basis. It's also where we end up after meditating. Present, awake, alive, experiencing everything clearly. Natural ease. That's the fruition. So, we start off. We end up where we start off. So, what's the path? You know, what happens between starting the meditation and finishing the meditation? What's the path? So the path is simply becoming familiar with being alive, awake, and present. That's the path. That's all it is. So, next thing then is, so what's the problem? What's the problem? Actually, in reality, there isn't a problem. There isn't a problem. But as you sit here quietly, as we do a little bit of practice, it just might happen that you cease to be present. Then the problems start. That happens when we become fixated with a mental event. Now, this is not me just telling you this. This is for you to discover. Do you understand? This isn't a philosophical position, or if you don't believe this, this is for you to discover. When we become fixated with a mental event, then the problems start. And it's most curious, it's most curious because actually this fixation could be caused by trying to stay present. Understand? You could be fixated on the idea of trying to stay present. It's a fixation. So you just have to rest. And to know as well that as sentient beings, fixation just happens. Now you can do a lot of analysis, but what causes the fixation? There's a lot of theory, a lot of analysis, but actually, look, it just happens. It just happens. It just happens. You just lose presence. But it's only a short-term problem. Let's not exaggerate here. It's only a short-term problem. And basically, presence, a wisdom that sees clearly, returns all by itself. Unprompted by you, unsought by you, it just returns all by itself. That wisdom is always there, but when we become fixated, we fail to be present in clear light, in this seeing clearly, because we're now fixated. And instead, clear light awareness becomes absorbed into fixation. This is a very fancy way of saying something that you can experience directly yourself. One moment, you're present. You can see, you can hear, you're breathing, you're awake, you're alive, you're present, you're here. Next moment, you're at work. Or some other, do you know? Next moment, you see? And when you go into that, this all disappears. You lose the clear light. It's gone into the fixation. So, if you like, fixation is the enemy, an enemy over which you have no control. It turns up, I give the Jehovah's Witnesses a hard time. It turns up like a Jehovah's Witness knocking on your door. Please, you're welcome to be a Jehovah's Witness. But please stay away from knocking on my door. Or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So, this fixation, it just turns up, But really, you can do nothing about it coming, right? You can't stop yourself from being distracted. So don't waste effort trying to stop yourself from being distracted, because effort is fixation. The trick, when presence returns, is simply to rest. Effortlessly. You don't apply effort. All effort is fixation. So in Zen, they have all these kind of really cool kind of things in Zen. You know, like the master beats you with a stick and stuff. If you want, I can explain that later. But, for example, one of the things they have is got two wooden blocks, you know, and they hit the two wooden blocks together, and it makes this kind of clack sound. So, you're there fixated. Clack! You're not fixated anymore. The sudden sound breaks the fixation. Then, simply rest. Simply rest. No attempt to sustain anything. You're just simply resting in this clear light. Not something that's created. It's something that's there, that's been revealed. And it's actually one of the advantages of having your senses open when you're meditating. That you could be fixated and a dog barks. Brings you back into presence. Do you see? You could see something. You're fixated. You're brought back into presence. So then you just simply rest because there's nothing to be done. It's happened already. You're already in this clear light, in this clear perception of things. So, let's give it a go. I'm sorry this has gone on a bit long, but I think it was worthwhile. So give it a go. And instead of the wooden block, you've got me. Every so often I'm going to say stuff like, where are you? I don't know. I might even try making a sound. Let's see. Let's have a bit of fun. Okay. So, we'll make it official. I'll ring the bell. Hello. It's enough to see. You don't have to change anything. It's enough simply to see. Of course you have thoughts. Of course there are sounds. Of course there are things that you can see. Just being present with that. Not becoming fixated. Resting. I'm sorry this went on a bit long. I usually, I think I might have got carried away. I might have got fixated. Okay, so please.